Taking care of ancient monuments is a daunting task. There's a huge responsibility held by Egyptologists to take care of them without erasing the history. At the forefront of these remnants is the Pyramids of Giza, one of the foremost symbols of human civilization in ancient Egypt and the world. Taking a look at the smallest of the three Great Pyramids of Giza, Menkaure, we notice a giant hole on its north side. How did that come to be? In 1200 CE, a philosopher named Abd al-Latif al-Baghdadi went to Giza and recorded the appearance of the pyramids at the time. Remarkably, he noted that among the three largest pyramids, the smallest had a large gash on it. Pretty clearly, we can deduce that he is talking about the Pyramid of Menkaure. Abd al-Latif expounds on what went down, since it was pretty recent for him. The gash was the result of a recent attempt to demolish the pyramids. The attempt was launched just 4 years prior, in 1196, by the Sultan of Egypt, Malik al-Aziz Uthman bin Yusuf, under the Ayyubid Sultanate. The Sultan was goaded by his friends, who, for a reason lost to time, wanted to demolish all three pyramids. To execute this awesome task, the Sultan recruited officers, drillers, stonecutters, and ropers to destroy the pyramids in their entirety, stone block by stone block. Wedges and levers pulled the stone out. Cords and cables tugged at the stone from the bottom. But they didn't get too far. With the benefit of hindsight, we know that the Menkaure pyramid itself had to be made with intense grit, with workers' gangs highly motivated to produce the final resting place for their blessed king. First contrast that with the laborious task of pulling it apart. The Ayyubid Sultan's workers were only able to pull out a stone block or two a day, and each time a stone block fell, a tremendous sound echoed out, audible from quite a distance. The stones buried themselves into the sands and were quite a hassle to relocate. To take them anywhere, the fallen blocks had to be cut into pieces themselves. Day after day, workers grew in their fatigue and diminished in their resolution. Ultimately, and shamefully, the Sultanate abandoned the commission. As Abd al-Latif stated rather eloquently,
غايتهم أن شوهوا الهرم وبانوا عن عجز وفشل.
all they did was spoil the pyramid and exhibit a manifest proof of their inability and failure. Sultan al-Aziz Uthman did not accept the request to demolish the Pyramid of Menkaure for any religious, iconoclastic reasons. Rather, to remain in power, the Sultan had to appease the royal court. The Sultans of the Ayyubid dynasty were marred by constant power struggles. In fact, al-Aziz Uthman fought with his own brother, al-Afdal, over dominion of Egypt, a battle which he ended up winning. However, his efforts to remain on good terms with the royal court would ultimately be in vain, as he died just at the age of 27, the result of a hunting accident. The dilapidated look of the pyramids today was not limited to the centralized actions of the Sultan. People during medieval times took the limestone casing from the exterior of the Giza pyramids to build Cairo, since they were relatively easy to take out, while leaving the lower, less reusable granite of the Menkaure pyramid. Howard Weiss, in his haste, used gunpowder to blow up the pyramid in 1837 to loot its interior goods, and the pyramid itself was unfinished in ancient times. During Egypt's 4th dynasty, construction abruptly stopped, probably because Menkaure died before its completion, so the imported granite block intended for its use was left at the pyramid's base. We see today that the casing at the pyramid's base remains bumpy rather than flush. Earthquakes and other natural disasters over several millennia have also led to a buildup of rubble at the base. In January 2024, Mustafa Waziri, Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, and Japanese Egyptologist Yoshimura Sakuji teamed up to restore the Pyramid of Menkaure to its former glory. They envisioned parsing through all the rubble at the bottom of the pyramid and partially restoring it to its original appearance. The process would involve drawing, photogrammetry, documentation, and laser scanning, but how they would deal with the massive hole is really anyone's guess. Waziri called the plan the project of the century and Egypt's gift to the world. Waziri and Sakuji started work to examine the rubble to ascertain the plan's practicality. Incredibly, it's possible that the stone blocks removed back in 1196 and 1197 still remain among the casing. since there is evidence of cut stone blocks with wedge marks on them at the pyramid's base. This brings me to my main point. Both ideas, the demolition of the Pyramid of Menkaure and the restoration of it, illustrate how the alteration of ancient monuments constitutes an act of destruction and erasure of history, and both serve as ideological commitments to power. To demolish it was the result of privileging the voices of an aristocracy, and to place back the fallen stones is to assume we know the full story of what happened, rather than welcome the educational value that the monuments continue to offer today. Ultimately, Waziri's plan to restore the Pyramid of Menkaure never ended up coming to fruition, because the plan was highly objectionable, and an international outcry ensued. Zahi Hawas's Menkaure Pyramid Review Committee unanimously rejected the proposition, citing the archaeological value of keeping the pyramid in its current shape, along with moral and ethical concerns. Additionally, it would simply be impossible to know where each casing block went. We as human beings have responsibility to accept the history that happened before us, as well as to learn how power has permanently altered the landscape of the world. To recognize individuals that transgress the worst of humanity is to accept that episodes of historical erasure are not isolated incidents, but rather a constant cycle, highly informed by a lust for power.